Guys, this is Alex with UCCX.net. One of the things I want to talk to you about in this little blog update is the CRS script editor. This is going to be the first in a series of blogs that I'll walk you through the script editor, and we'll start talking about some pretty wild scripting techniques here in a few of these. What I want to talk to you about though today is how you actually install the script editor and what it does in Contact Center Express. The script editor, for you guys that don't know, is actually how you're going to design the call flow logic, or the script and the call flow on how a call will work inside the contact center. So for those of you that don't know, you have a JTAPI trigger, which is pretty much a number that you dial into a specific application. So it might be an 800 number. It might be like just a 5-digit internal extension that you want to create an application for. Those JTAPI triggers are mapped to applications. You might have an application for finance, you might have an application for help desk, and inside your application you actually have scripts. And that's what we're going to start talking about, is how to use this tool and start designing scripts. A couple little things to note off the top though. The CRS editor works with Windows 2000, Windows XP, and I've tested it with Windows Vista. If anybody has tested it with Windows 7, please let me know. It's recommended that you have Service Pack 4 with Windows 2000 and Service Pack 2 with Windows XP. The CRS editor by itself is actually installed on the contact center server when you install the CRS server. So if you definitely are in a pinch and you don't want to install this utility on your machine, you can also just run it on whatever contact center server that you're looking at. That actually is a good and a bad thing. For me as a consultant, I usually want to have the editor on my desktop, because if I'm in an airplane or traveling, I can still edit scripts in offline mode. If you're only going to be going in and modifying a script every once in a while, then there's certainly nothing wrong with using the editor that's on the actual desktop on the server. It's just kind of a whichever one you choose to do. So what I'm going to show you first is how you actually get into the app admin page and download the CRS editor, and we'll actually install it on a Windows XP machine that I've got running here in my lab. I'm going to log into the app admin page. When you come into the app admin page, one of the things you need to know is where to actually download the tool. Everything you would pretty much install on a desktop. For example, the historical reports client, supervisor desktop, agent desktop, all that good stuff's under the tools drop down, and then plugins. So we're going to click on plugins, and then what we want to click on is the Cisco Unified CCX editor. That is actually the client side contact center script editor. Now you have a choice here. You can either save it, you can run it, you can cancel out. If you want to save it, it's going to save it as an exe, and then you can just double click on it and launch the install. What I'm going to do is just click run, which will actually run it all in one shot, and I won't have to bother with clicking on the exe when I'm done. It's going to take just a second. It's about a 100 meg file. It hasn't really grown too much over the years that I've noticed. So as soon as this is done downloading, we'll get a pop-up box here where we need to run it. It's going to actually run this Cisco Unified CCX editor install. There's not much to the setup. Basically, it's a Windows cab installer, so it's just going to install a few files on your machine, do a few registry entries, that kind of thing. It does not require a reboot. So you'll get this splash screen right here. One of the things you might want to take note of is the version of the contact center editor that you are using. I do want to make this point perfectly clear. If you guys are on an older contact center server like Contact Center 4, Contact Center 3, I hope you're not, but if you are on something that old, CRS version 5, whatever, you would definitely want to make sure that you have the correct version of the editor for whatever version of the server you have. What I mean by that is you don't want to try to run the Contact Center 7 editor on a Contact Center 5 server and create scripts for a CRS version 5 server with the wrong version editor. It will definitely not work. The script may work and it might validate, but when you go and actually run it on the server, you'll get a runtime error. And I want to accept the license agreement here. Click next. One of the things it's going to ask you to do is where you want to actually install the program. Now by default, the contact center server software is actually going to get installed on C:\program files WF Avid. That's a pretty generic folder, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. You can change it here if you want, and then I'm going to click install. And what it's doing right now is it's actually unpacking and installing all the files you need for the editor. There's a lot of images, some basic Java code in the background, the compiler, that kind of thing. So this should take a few seconds here, and then we'll continue on with this. So the install wizard's done. I'm going to click finish to actually complete it. I'm going to go ahead and minimize my window here for the actual app admin page. What you'll notice now, if you click on start and then go to all programs, you'll have this Cisco Unified CCX developer, and then if you scroll over, you'll actually see the editor. In earlier versions of the product, it'll actually be called CRS editor or Contact Center Express editor. It won't be called Cisco Unified CCX. That was at version 5 and 7 and later. So I'm going to go ahead and launch it. Now, one of the things that most people ask me is, what's the difference between log on and